Hello.
Hello.
I'm Callum.
And you can call me Mommy.
Oh, is that a Cecile reference?
Yeah.
Oh, a 2025 reference time.
We're getting new.
And that is Nick.
Hi.
And this is That's Eurovision, baby.
We really need
That
to
was
move that back up.
that was a slow one this time.
Yeah, we
yes.
really need to move that back up. That's all right.
Yeah, well, look, there's a reason our soundboard is on the floor today, and that is because just below the camera, we have a little laptop out
We've got something special for you.
because we're doing it. We're doing the deed. We're doing the video that needs to be done before Eurovision. We're giving you who we believe is going to qualify between both semi-finals.
Yes. Now, today we will be discussing semi-final 1, and we will be going into detail. We will be having a detailed discussion of who we think is going to qualify and where we think that they're going to be sitting. Now, we will be approaching this as best we can from an objective lens. We will be trying to provide our best recommendations, not based on what is in our hearts, but what is in our heads.
Yeah, so there's going to be songs that we love that we're going to have to valiantly sacrifice based on all the information we have. Because we have information like the bookies' odds, which obviously play a role in this. What we maybe think might be produced on the stage in Basel. That, we love a song's recorded version, but we're a bit worried that they're going to perform it weekly.
And honestly, just a little bit of what's happening in the general Eurovision zeitgeist, I suppose, really. Like any news that we've seen coming out about them and bits and pieces like that. Once we have digested all of that together, we will then be moving them into their respective categories.
Yes.
Now, Callum's done up a sexy little board here.
Okay, transition time.
Ooh.
I'll do my best to set us up around this board. But now, hopefully, viewers at home, you now see our qualifying board that I may or may not have stolen the graphical inspiration from Eurovision this year.
Not stolen, inspired.
Inspired by, exactly.
Yeah,
Fun fact, you can't use the font that they've used for Eurovision because it's licensed and they haven't sold it. So this is just Times New Roman and bold we're using. But it looked quite similar to the Eurovision font.
The real font of Eurovision.
Times New Roman.
In bold.
So, as you can see, we have 3 categories for our semi-final qualifiers. At the moment, everybody is in the middle. She's borderline. Yeah. That's the songs that we feel like at the end of our ranking could go either way. So everyone's starting there. We're either going to rank you up into ear through.
Ear through.
Which is a qualification into the grand final of Eurovision.
So, obviously, as Callum loves to say almost every episode, not all songs are created equal. And I think that there will be certain ones that will have a much better chance of qualifying, and we can be more reasonably confidently assured that we will see them there.
Yes.
So that's ear through.
That's ear through is just you're qualifying.
Yeah.
We have no doubt in our mind that you're qualifying.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, we've also got Sos Diva, which is the songs that we're almost certain are not going to be making it through to the grand finale.
Yeah.
Grand finale.
The grand finale.
Grand finale.
Yeah.
The grand finale of Eurovision 2025.
Commence.
Yes. So, look, if we put you in that category and you're watching us because our reach has just exploded recently, it is your job to prove us wrong.
Yeah.
Show us why we and the general public is wrong.
Because as always, it's a discussion. So we'll be taking into account, obviously, the bookies' odds, but we'll also be taking into account
our own vibes.
Yeah. Exceptional reality.
Yes.
But with that being said, shall we get started?
Let's jump in. So I have an assortment of our countries competing in semi-final 1 here. I did start somewhat alphabetically and then it gave up. So now it's random.
Yeah, I do see that because I was trying to go through it and do some notes. And I was like, he's really just thrown it at the wall.
It was really hard to lay this out properly and I couldn't be bothered making alphabetical. But let's start with the first country in alphabetical order, and that is Albania.
Yes.
So do we feel like these guys are guaranteed finalists? Are they borderline, or is it a no?
So for me personally, I think that we've seen a really strong public resonance with the Albanian song this year.
People love the song.
People love this song, and I also love this song. I think it's a fantastic entry. It's also reported that they've got 150,000 euros worth of funding, which is the largest for any Albanian act ever. So it seems like Albania's backing this one.
Albania's backing it. So are we feeling pretty good to drag her up.
I don't think, like, I'm not sure if this will win, but I definitely have no doubts that we're going to be seeing Albania on the grand final night.
Albania,
You're through. Congratulations, Albania.
Congratulations, Albania.
Now we move along to Das Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Okay, so controversial.
Okay.
I don't think the song is borderline. I think it's qualifying comfortably.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's as you're through as Albania is.
So I think that we can do an unmarked gradient of songs almost.
Yeah.
So for me personally, so what we've heard coming out of the Netherlands, and if I think we've spoken about it before. We've seen a live performance from Claude on Dutch television, and it was
fantastic,
absolutely fantastic. Reportedly, coming out of the choreographers for the team, there's going to be some elements from the music video, but it's going to be completely different.
Good.
Which actually sort of concretes for me that the staging that we saw on that Dutch TV show is probably very likely what we're going to be getting. And if that's the case,
similar version.
It was very cool. I'm pretty confident that this one's going to be qualifying.
She's dragging up.
I'm going to put her as a low you're through.
A low you're through? Not even a mid you're through?
No, I'm going to put this as a low you're through because for me, I think that this one, look, I think it's going to qualify. I definitely think that we're going to see it there. But I think that there's always one shock qualifier.
The shocking cue. Do you think it could be the Netherlands this year?
And for there to be a shock qualifier, there has to be a shock non-qualifier. I think that the Netherlands does have the potential to be a shock non-qualifier. I don't think that's going to happen, but if I could see it happening for any of the songs that are safe qualifiers,
sure,
it would be this one.
I disagree, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The reason I have it lower than Albania in terms of qualifying chances is I feel like there's a charm factor to Albania that everyone who's consumed it has sort of like been swept up in this feeling of like, oh God, this is cool. God, this is fun.
Yeah, because I feel like the people that love folky music have something to root for, but the people that love like brooding electronica as well also have something to root for in this song.
So I think Albania's chances of qualifying are higher than the Netherlands, but I am not really too concerned about Claude. Everything he's presented us is extremely comforting so far.
Mans can sing. Let's be real. Mans can sing. I'm not worried about his performance on the night. I'm definitely happy to have that one in. You're through. So Claude, congratulations, the Netherlands. We will almost certainly be seeing you.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing you in the grand final.
Yeah, in the grand final this year.
Now, let's talk about Azerbaijan.
Yes. So we've got A Run With You by Mamagama.
Wagamama.
Some interesting things coming out of the Azerbaijani camp. So apparently the lead vocalist was on The Voice Azerbaijan and has pulled out of it now to go to Eurovision.
As in he was a contestant on it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Maybe you should have stayed on there.
Look, okay, so Azerbaijan coming off a pretty bad streak in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think this song is going to necessarily change that.
Yeah.
However, it's feeling like I'm going to keep it in the borderlands for the time being. We're going to do a second pass and make sure we've got our locks in.
I'm going to put this as a low board. Like, if we've got borderline, we've got borderline likely, and we've got borderline unlikely. For me, this is borderline unlikely.
It's a low borderline unlikely. The reason why is I feel like this song has enough catchiness to it and joy to it that it could charm enough people.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you. This song is causing no waves in the the sphere.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just silent, and that's not a good thing.
No, you don't want to be silent going into this because it looks like they've hired the same staging director as the UK has for this year.
Okay,
who has worked with the UK's junior Eurovision entries for 22 and 23, and also very recently worked on Ariana Grande's choreography for Wicked.
Okay.
Very interesting. But
I don't know what that tells us to the staging.
Exactly. But my thing is, I'm like, okay, does that seem like a... It's not like we're looking at someone with a proven history of winning Eurovision that some of the other entrants have gone for. So I'm low borderline on this.
I'm keeping it in the border zone for the time being. I don't think they're a defs non-qualifier, but I think that they are... Look, like I said, we'll do a second pass at the borderlines when we're done, and we'll start making some hard decisions.
Yeah, this wouldn't be a shock non-qualifier.
So, let's talk about Belgium.
Let's talk about Belgium.
Okay, so you guys know, if you've been following along, this is my second favorite song of the year. When we're talking about trying to be impartial and unbiased, I'm going to say, just by looking at the bookies odds and the kind of general response from a lot of people, that I think it's through, but...
Callum, most importantly, semi-final 1, It's his birthday.
So he should definitely go through then.
So it would actually be...
it'd be quite rude if it didn't
it
go
would
through.
be genuinely quite rude.
However, I'm putting it down at the bottom part.
I agree with that.
I think it's qualifying. I think it's... I'm not going to say comfortably qualifying, but I think it's comfortable enough to move out of the border zone.
Yeah.
Because I think the song will have a lot of impact. I think this song will appeal to people out of the Euro bubble. I think that's something that's really important that we don't consider, is that oftentimes like an ethnic ballad from like Serbia will flop because a lot of the Euro bubble will love it, but then the general public comes in droves and sort of like waters it down.
Yeah.
I think this could be the opposite, where a lot of the negative response to the songs is people don't like EDM music, or people just don't like how intense it is. I think the general public's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the GP, the general public, love a bit of doof. Love a bit of doof.
I said it once, I'll say it a million times. We've literally just gone through Brat Summer. If that's not telling you that the desire for sort of EDM, naughty sort of in the club, Euro club is not there, like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, and I think that I'm really excited to see this song. I love this song. I'm excited to see if Red Sebastian can turn it up to 11. Because I will say the biggest fear I have for him is, I think stage presence wise, he has such a heavy hitting song, and it
got a bit swallowed.
I don't know if he is swallowed, but I almost feel like his presence swallows him. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So vocally, I think he's doing really well.
Yeah.
But I think from like just a general stage presence, he feels almost a bit too timid for this song.
So would you say he got swallowed?
What do you mean swallowed?
Like he got swallowed by the song. He got swallowed by the song and the staging because he doesn't have the stage presence.
Yeah. I guess when I thought swallowed by the song, I think like the music is so loud that he can't sing over it. And I'm like, no, he's singing the song really well. But I think right now it's like, I need to see a little bit more stage presence for this song to go up. However, and let me know if you agree, because by the way, guys, we should mention this is a collective. We're both agreeing on what's going through. Do you think Belgium sits there?
I am happy to leave it there for now.
Oh no.
I think that we'll have a second pass through, but I'm also reasonably confident in Belgium this year. Like, again, I think that's probably about right, a bottom of your through, but congratulations, Belgium. Air through.
Air through.
For now.
Okay.
Speaking of for now,
Cyprus.
We've got Theo Evan for Cyprus. So, every piece of information that's come out about this song has been kind of batshit.
I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, so apparently, like, he's gone on interviews being like, every single time he's rehearsing this song, he's in physical pain.
Yeah.
He's not touching the ground for the entire song. He's on, like,
a scaffold. Yeah,
towers.
we're hearing he's on a scaffold of some variety.
He's doing acrobatics.
Yeah.
He's doing flips. He's doing dips and shit.
He's sending himself to hospital.
Yeah. Look, it seems like the performance that we're going to get is going to be interesting. My question, though, is, like, that sounds like a lot.
So I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm concerned right now for Cyprus. I'm actually more concerned than I was after hearing all this stuff, because I did see a funny tweet that's like, imagine if Theo Evans is the first person to faint on the Eurovision stage in his performance because he can't do it.
And because the thing is as well is that, like, notoriously, Beyonce trained for many decades singing on treadmills and shit so that she could do like a full dance number and still sing.
Sure.
Theo Evan does not have that same period of time. And my concern is, like, what are we going to hear from the vocal performance? Like,
I don't know what to make of this. I'm
giving her a borderline.
I'm going to put it, okay, hear me out. I think it's a here.
Yeah, okay.
If we're treating this chart's a gradient, guys, like, so I think it's more borderline through than Azerbaijan. Sort of.
I see more for this than I see for Azerbaijan.
Yes.
I agree.
But I think the risk I'm
nervous.
hearing has made me nervous. Yeah. I think it could be visually spectacular, and I've heard news that it is visually spectacular.
Obviously, we've got like a very proven staging director in Sergio. So obviously,
can I counter that, though?
I would love to hear it.
I think Sergio has a lot of momentum behind him because of Bambi's performance.
Do you think he's trying to now push the envelope a little bit too far?
Not so much that. It's his only staging he's done, because he's a very newcomer in the Eurovision world, and he kind of like came into the competition with some of the best staging ever, became really sought after this year. We don't really have the luxury of consistency with him yet.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have the promise. Like, I'm confident that he's going to deliver incredible staging for Austria and Cyprus. But is there a risk in a person who's done one amazing staging that it's like, this is now repeat magic twice and a third time?
Yeah.
Will it happen? Or is it going to be, a bit of a case of, controversially, all
one-hit wonder?
One-hit wonder, but like all glamour, no substance. It's Theo Evan climbing around a scaffold, doing flips and stuff, and we're like, yeah, but what's the song?
Yeah, and because my thing is like, I don't know, does this feel like a song that needs that?
I genuinely am not sure, to be fair.
But look, we'll put it in high borderline for now. I think that's a good
borderline
place for it.
Yes, I think
she's borderline.
She is going to either gag us and become and we're going to be like, oh my god, greatest staging of the year.
Yeah.
Or it may go wrong.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I guess we'll have to see, won't we? But in the interim, let's have a chat about Croatia.
I'm so sorry to Marko Bosniak, but I think he is our first. He's our first victim of the SOS Diva.
Yeah. Also, Croatia's first openly gay performing artist.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
As a result, no. I'm so sorry to Marko.
Yeah.
Everything I see of him in the pre-parties, he seems like the most lovely, wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I think that I just think he's got a song that is a bit naff.
So, a couple of things to take into account. So, apparently, at Dora, everyone was cooked and they were all sick.
Oh, really?
So apparently that is the reason for some of the vocal performances on the night, is that apparently there were like 5 or 6 of them that were all like dying.
They're all battling gastro.
Yeah. Maybe battling bung knee. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a bung knee,
Yeah,
so
he had a stub toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like hard case of stub toe. And he's come out and said that apparently he's getting the Albania treatment. TikTok from 2021.
Sure.
So apparently they're throwing a lot at it.
Yeah.
He said that it's going to be a lot more dynamic and also very different.
Albania famously didn't qualify.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot different to the music video, apparently. No, I quite like the music video.
Oh, the music video. Sorry, I thought from his national final staging. Because we said in our How to Win Eurovision series, which if you haven't watched, go and watch it.
Yeah.
We said that Croatia needs to drift very far away from the chef motif and into the sort of witch's brew motif.
Yeah.
So if he's not doing that, I'm very curious to see what he is going to do.
Apparently it's going to be a lot darker.
Ooh.
A lot darker. And
I do think if the staging for this is like super intense, it could... He's here. He's here now.
Like
he's moved up a little bit.
Look, unfortunately, I don't think that there's much. Just looking at the strength of this national final, I don't really think that there's much that can be said for this one. I
unfortunately think Croatia is maybe the only one that I'm gonna put money on and saying it's not going through. Yeah. And it sucks. I hope it doesn't ruin Marko or his artistry, because I know that obviously Eurovision can be quite traumatic for artists. I hope this isn't seen as an obstacle.
As a failure.
Because again, he seems like a brilliant artist. I love anyone who's openly LGBTQIA plus in the community. I'll always root for, especially in a country like Croatia where it's a little bit less...
a little bit iffy.
A little bit iffy still.
Yeah.
So fantastic. I think the song is just not strong enough. Anyway,
but that's okay. Speaking of not strong enough, how are we feeling about Iceland?
Are we willing to... What are we doing?
I'm putting...
Are we keeping them here, or are we going?
I am going to put them at the very top of SOS Diva.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because
They're
for
like
me... Yeah. I feel like we almost need to create like a fourth section of like, she's borderline in, she's borderline out.
I feel like they understand.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, or actually maybe if you wanted, put it at the very bottom of she's borderline.
Well, I think with Azerbaijan, I think Iceland and Azerbaijan are going to stay in this she's borderline, and I think second pass we're going to make some difficult cuts.
Yeah.
So Nick, explain to me why is it not a ear thrill when we're both massive fans of this song?
So despite the fact that we're both massive fans of this song, unfortunately, I think, look, the odds are very rarely right, but
Yes.
they're not usually wrong to the degree.
So the odds probably have a 60 to 70% level of accuracy
Yeah.
per final.
Yeah.
And that's enough to say that if you're like in that bottom 2 of the odds.
Yeah. Because unfortunately,
It's an uphill
like
battle.
the problem for Iceland this year is that they've been like we haven't really heard much from them with regards to their song and staging. Like the boys are both very fun.
Love their online presence.
Like the main issue is that they've just been wrapped up in another country's beef almost this entire preseason period.
I would...
Like
I know what you're talking about.
with the song and also with the calls for disqualification from the Icelandic.
Do you feel like that has maimed it? Because when I think of Vibe, I think of these two guys who are just having a great time online, being goofy. I don't necessarily feel like that's affecting the song too much, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't think that would be the reason that it won't qualify, but I definitely don't think that it would be helping their chances.
Sure.
Being attached to anything that doesn't have to do with your own song, and then also don't forget that they had like the royalties all turned off for their song.
Yeah.
But
again, would that affect public? I don't know. I'm curious. Like, I don't know if I agree, but I like where you're going with this.
There are people that will hear that information and will take it at face value.
Sure.
And won't do any critical thinking, and will
The internet
just bin it.
Yeah.
The
reason I'm not willing to move it from borderline just yet, and I think it needs another pass, is it's opening the first semi-final, so it's the first song anyone is going to hear at Eurovision this year. I think that
at least we're off to a fun start.
they choose songs that they know are crowd favorites for that slot. Last year it was Celia Capsis. It's you tend to open with songs that are immediate and fun, and Vibe Song is so much fun.
It's a vibe.
That I do think that with the right staging and like with enough positivity, they could be a surprise qualifier. However, I think the only big thing that this and a lot of the songs this year are going to struggle in semi-final 1 with is male pop. Is the name of this semi-final.
And because I think that the issue as well for this one is that realistically, who are they fighting against for what I would say is a qualification slot?
I think
it's Cyprus.
I think we can see this clearer when we do our second pass. We're able to see exactly who they're fighting with. Because I think Azerbaijan they're also fighting with. I think San Marino they're fighting with. Not in terms of song vibe, but in terms of borderline qualifiers.
Yeah. Maybe we'll save a little bit for the second pass through. So then maybe we'll jump across to Poland.
Yes. Justina Stikowska with Gaia. I think
she's through. Just move it up.
I'm going to put her in line with Netherlands I'm going to put her a little bit higher, actually. So the reason I think that she's comfortably through is she is the only solo female act that you can vote for in this whole semi-final. That is going to stand out.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the thing going against her is she's in the second slot, which is, I think, an awful place to put her.
Yeah.
However, I think that she's going to gain a lot of adoration. I think similar to Albania. In terms of having like a really charismatic female lead. Albania and Poland are the only two, if you like girlies, they're the only two countries you can vote for in semi-final 1. So you've kind of got this built-in advantage.
Yeah. So what we've heard out of the Polish camp so far this year is that apparently, so they're going full Polish.
Love that.
So all the performers, all the stages and everything will be Polish.
What do you mean?
Like, as in they will be Polish people.
Oh, when you said full Polish, I thought you meant like we're going to get like camera effects.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that they're going full Polish.
Yeah.
Because apparently there will be a large graphic across the screen, and apparently it's going to be a large dragon. Yeah. So I just look. I again. This is an unconfirmed. So I've just been having a little poke around on the Googs. Having a look in the news.
Nick is giving us cutting edge journalism, and I'm just here being like, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah. So I hope that is an unconfirmed case and does not end up being the case, because I think that they really, other than the fact that it was chaos incarnate, I think that they really nailed it with the national final staging performance, because like this song, like it's big, it's high energy, it's chaos, but like please don't be doing camera shakes and screen effects and tomfoolery and bullshit because it just drags it down.
Learn from Luna last year, Poland. Like, if you try and give your ass too much to do, it can look really messy. But I still think she'll make it through because I think, unlike Luna, Justina seems to thrive in chaos. So I think that, like, give her stuff like that and she'll run with it.
And honestly, like, for Luna's performance, if they'd done like a big graphic across the screen, it probably would have been a bit tacky, whereas for Justina, for some reason, it's just a bit camp.
Yeah.
Speaking of camp.
Speaking of lack of camp.
Yeah. Slovenia. Clemen, how much time do we have left? If it's how much time do we have left to qualify, I'm going to say none.
Yeah. Okay, so I have heard points for this song being that it's an earnest ballad that, like, the mums will love, that they'll vote for because it's the only thing that sounds like this, that it could do quite well, and it could be the shock qualifier that none of us see coming. We discussed on our How to Sort of Win Eurovision series, which if you haven't watched, go watch it. We discussed, though, that Slovenia's placement is the thing that will kill this song.
They are in a death slot.
Third in semi-final 1, but it's not just that it's in third. We've got Vibe opening in it, then we have Poland following, then we're into Slovenia, then we're into Tommy Cash Espresso Macchiato from Estonia.
Then we're into Spain.
Yeah, I just think the energy zap of Slovenia is really badly placed. So I think that, like, if this was maybe had more slower songs around it, or at the very least, there were more ballads in the semi-final as a whole, I could see a path for this. But I just think with where it's being placed and how deeply earnest it is, I just don't think we're going to see it qualify this year.
Our boy's been given a death slot. Like, the song is okay. The staging will be fine.
Any news, any insider goss?
Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing that I've seen.
Streets aren't saying anything.
Streets aren't saying nothing, which is probably a point of concern in itself. But yeah, I'm reasonably confident. So's Diva.
Well, let's move on to a diva that we don't have to fill soz for.
Norway.
Kyle Alessandro.
Later.
Yeah. I think we're putting this in like a here.
Yeah, I'm confident in this qualifying. Like, everything that's being said is that they're going to be keeping the same national final performance, but adapting it to be bigger and more dramatic and cooler.
Yes.
So look, Kyle's a performer.
Yeah, he's going to deliver dance. He's going to deliver vocals. Like, his national final performance, all I can think about was how he had perfect vocal control with that dancing. His voice didn't get tired.
Yep.
So that's what being 19 does, hey?
Yeah,
that's just on being young.
Look, he's just got the energy to keep up with this, and it's very fitting that we have him next to his mother. In Justina Stakowska. So I'm sure that mother and son will be happily qualifying together.
Look, the only risk the song poses is that of the male pop songs, it's the most sort of safe sounding, I guess. Yeah. We still love it, but in terms of like things like Cyprus and Belgium are trying to go a bit heavier, a bit more trancey, a bit more in the club, where you've got like Sweden or Estonia, which are going for more of that charming vibe. Does Norway risk being like kind of the middle of the road pop song and therefore not standing out?
No, I get you.
However, I
don't think that's
the
case.
The package that we're going to get is going to be really strong. So I'm pretty confident you're through.
Yeah, that's a year through. So congratulations, Norway, year through.
Year through.
Speaking of year through, let's move on to Sweden, shall we? Look, I think realistically, just put it at the top.
How high up can this go?
So Sweden's main concerns so far for their staging this year are apparently their worry about the lack of fresh fir trees that are available in Switzerland.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah. And I was saying the exact same thing.
And I said that.
Yeah, you know what it's like.
The fir trees.
But yeah, apparently like they're keeping their staging from their national final, which people love and adore.
We said it in our How to Sort of Win Eurovision series, which if you haven't watched, please give a watch. That their staging is perfect.
Yeah.
They literally, it is a transplant sort of staging.
They're literally like drop a dancer.
Yeah, drop a dancer, potentially get rid of the fire.
Yeah, so apparently there's an issue with the mechanics of the way that the stage changes over that they have to change, but they're keeping all the styling and everything.
They're going to be fine.
Like, it's just literally just making it different operations.
Of all of the songs that are like competing to qualify, I think Sweden's the one that like I'm the most certain of.
Yeah.
And I say that with countries like Finland and like Israel. Like, I still think Sweden is more certain. Anyway, shall we move on to Portugal?
Yeah.
A bit of a
tonal shift.
A tonal shift. Okay, I'm going to do this. I think Portugal is sort of here.
Yeah.
I think they're not qualifying.
I don't think
it's sad, but I think unlike Croatia and Slovenia, I think Portugal really benefits from having a song that is of a quality. So that sounds really mean. It's not that Croatia and Slovenia don't have quality. I think Croatia and Slovenia's songs, for different reasons, feel like the song itself is part of the issue.
Yeah.
Portugal's song itself is really
the
strong.
song is magnificent. It's not a Eurovision
Not a Eurovision song.
And the issue is, and there's a reason that it won like a music festival in Portugal, and it's because it's a perfect song for a music competition, but it's not the perfect thing for the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
And I love that it's going. I love that we're going to get to see it, but I do fear that we are going to see it once.
I am going to be hopeful that it could be a shock cue, because I think we tend to see every year sort of a more low-key song.
Do you think they're going to be the Dons of the...
Dons last year, I was thinking of, I think Portugal most years when they qualify with songs that I think lesser countries wouldn't qualify with.
The main piece of news that I found out about when I was trying to look up Portugal is that apparently Shawn Mendes is dating Maro. You heard it here first.
Okay, well, completely unrelated, but I love that. Wow.
That's
wild.
Yeah. Haven't really heard much about the staging or the song, but
Shawn Mendes is dating Maro.
Don't you love that?
I do love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd date Maro. She gave Australia 12 points in Eurovision 2023.
And we love you, Maro.
But unfortunately, I think this may be... Portugal has maybe leaned a bit too far into their own lane that it's going to be a bit bland.
My thing that I think about this song is that I think that this will still be great for their careers, because I think that
they don't need Eurovision.
No, they don't need Eurovision, but I think that they'll get picked up for festival spots and those sorts of things, because it's a really beautiful song and they seem like a fun band.
I think the song would pop off if it was Australian. If they're an Australian band, they'd do so well.
But at Eurovision,
yes. So I think they are... I'm keeping them high in my Soz Diva.
Yeah.
But I think it's a Soz Diva. Moving on to Estonia now. Tommy Cash, Espresso Macchiato.
Just put it up there. Go
she
on.
is probably... I think it's I might move Albania down just a touch, because I think if we're talking about chances, Estonia is basically a lock.
Yeah. There's not really much more to be said about that. The only information that I was able to find out, he had a bit of a press conference in Estonia where he said he was really looking forward to his growth as an artist, which is quite sweet.
Nice.
And apparently when asked about his staging, he said it's related to something super relevant right now. So I am mildly concerned that we're going to be seeing Tommy Cash hit the gritty, or doing
that's relevant right now.
I don't know. I was relevant 10 years ago.
Christ.
But that we're going to be
no
seeing,
idea what it could be.
Yeah, Tommy Cash doing some sort of TikTok dance.
It's going to do some AI shit.
He's going to do the cinnamon
Is he going
challenge.
to prompt ChatGPT live on the stage to give him staging ideas that he then does?
Maybe.
Look, Tommy Cash is the personality of the season. People, our friends who've listened to the song, absolutely love him and the song. They find the novelty works.
Yeah.
It's not for me, but I don't Again, the whole point of this is we're separating our subjectivity from the objectivity. Yeah. Tommy Cash is qualifying.
Yeah, Tommy Cash and Estonia, congratulations. You're through. Ukraine
next. Okay. I mean, look, it's Ukraine. It's if we're talking about Ukraine, it kind of has to. But
I will say that this is probably. I'm gonna put it a little bit lower. I'm gonna put this down with Belgium at the bottom of the You're Throughs.
Look, I'm fighting you.
I'm putting this down with Belgium.
Let's split the difference and put it there.
Sure. I'm putting this down with Belgium at the bottom of the You're Throughs, because the thing is you can't just say it's Ukraine and that they're going to qualify. This song is not as popular as a lot of their other songs have been. I love this song, and I think it definitely should qualify.
It's not as popular, I'll give you that, but
so I think look,
I don't think this is... People have been saying shocking Q, but I don't
there's an element of it's Ukraine, they always qualify, which is true. But if any song were not to do it, and this is not my personal opinion, this is sort of, I guess, me looking at the public opinion, I would say that this is the song that's probably going to do it to them. So I will say it is qualifying, but I will say that it is qualifying low.
I actually do disagree with you. I stand in a world where I'm a lot more confident with the song. I think that people look for reasons to like Ukraine, which is like fine. I think this song, when we first heard it, was instantly resonated. Yeah. I get that a lot of people don't like this song. That's totally fine. But I just think this song's going to feel so, like, it'll stand out in such a way that I'm not concerned about.
And look, the thing to always...
I'd put it higher, to be fair.
Yeah, the thing to always remember is that now that the semi-final votes are based entirely on the public vote, Ukraine unanimously
it adds
always performs well in the public vote.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I'm confident in its qualification, but this is one of the ones like Belgium where I would say if it didn't qualify, I wouldn't be like jaw on the floor.
Okay.
I'd be surprised, but I'd be like,
I'd be disappointed.
I saw the writing on the wall.
Sure. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
San Marino finally.
Yeah. Look,
I don't think it's leaving my borderline asylum.
I don't think.
I'm gonna put it here.
Yeah, I think. Look, it seems likely to qualify. But
people say it, but San Marino is not the country to comfortably qualify at the best of times.
And once the novelty wears off of its, like, oh, it's the San Remo song. Like, I think that the novelty is probably already wearing off, and we will be left with what I would imagine to be like, if the staging is anything like it was at the national final, that's a dead in the water.
So I have a couple of notes here, and then we can do our little review. I think that when we talk about San Marino getting the love of Italy, that's only one 12-point slot you can get, which is not enough to qualify. If you get minimal points,
but it's also the Italian like diaspora everywhere.
But is the Italian diaspora enough to give it enough points to qualify? Like, the point I'm trying to make is, I think twofold. One, I think it's a bit reductive of even us to just be like, well, Italy clearly vote for it, because if Estonia came out next year and was like, hey, True Blue, I'd be like, no, fuck off. I don't want to listen to an Aussie pandering song. So I feel like let's say that like the Italians may not just like the song because it says Italia in the name.
Yeah, but the Italians liked it so much that they made it the theme song of the San Remo Song Contest.
Well, Gabri Ponte may have been commissioned to create a theme song for San Remo this year, right? Yeah. And then San Marino came in and were like, we want that song. The point I'm trying to make is I think it is a much better odds of qualifying for San Marino than they've had since Adrenalina. It's probably their biggest chance of qualifying since then. But I don't know. But
look, I'm hopeful that it won't qualify.
Let's do a little review of the board, because right now this is where we're happy with.
Yeah,
we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 confidence, 4
borderlines,
and then 3 that we're confident aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
So take a picture in your mind of that's our opinion. However,
do we want to get everyone out of the borderline and commit to a
that's what we're going to challenge to. We are not leaving until we commit to 10 songs qualifying and 5 songs not qualifying. So let's assess our borderline countries.
Yeah.
So we've got Azerbaijan, Iceland, Cyprus, and San Marino. These are the 4 songs that we believe have a chance of dropping the ball and not qualifying. Now, 2 can qualify, is that correct? And 2 cannot qualify.
Azerbaijan's out.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, okay, let's make this easy for ourselves. Azerbaijan's out, Cyprus is in, and now we have a showdown between San Marino and Iceland.
Yeah.
I'm going to go rogue. I'm going to go against the bookies' odds. My vote's that Iceland is qualifying and San Marino doesn't. I'd love to hear your opinion.
I don't know if I think that that's what I want. I don't know if I agree.
Because if we put San Marino through, then we're just carbon copying the betting odds. And I'm not saying we can't do that, but I think based on Iceland opening up the show, to me, is a vote of confidence by the EBU that this song's going to be fun and energy. I think Vibe have given me a lot more in the preseason in their likability as artists.
Yep.
I think that San Marino is a DJ, which they never do that well at Eurovision. I think that I don't feel super confident that San Marino is going to elevate the song with any better staging than they had in the national final. And I think the Italian diaspora is not enough to necessarily let it qualify. However,
no.
That's my...
Callum,
we cannot leave here until we agree.
You have convinced me.
Are we doing it?
I think you're right.
Yeah?
I
Are we going against the odds?
We're going against the odds. We're creating our own destiny.
No thanks. I choose my own destiny.
Yeah. Iceland's in. Iceland's through.
Iceland's through, guys. You heard it here first.
I think Iceland is scraping through. I think that San Marino's out because, you know what? I actually absolutely agree with you. I think DJs always do badly. And it's like, it seems very, like, if they do anything even resembling that national final performance,
that will not qualify.
That's dead in the water.
If Iceland do anything resembling their national final performance, I think that's a pretty good chance of qualifying.
And I just don't think that they're going to do anything of interest.
Look, San Marino's song is more popular. It's doing numbers on streaming. So and Eurovision is a popularity contest. So I can understand fully why the bookies have ranked it to qualify. However, I do believe, and we've seen it every single year, that you watch it live and you vote based on what you see.
Yeah.
I don't know a single song. Well, that's not true, but my point is that if we think about songs that didn't qualify last year that should have qualified, it makes me think that's because people sat down and went, oh, this isn't hitting. Because
the thing is, like, so say, for example, from last year, we were massive fans of Luna.
Yes.
And we were massive fans of
Saba.
Yeah. Neither of which qualified because you sat down and you looked at the package on the day and even we went, oh.
Yeah, you haven't done enough.
Yeah, not enough.
And I think if Gabri Ponti's standing there being like, and he's got his masquerade mask guys just standing there doing nothing, and it's just
it's gonna flop.
Conjoined twin dancers doing spins. This song is not qualifying. Mark my words.
So, a little review then.
By gosh, we've done it.
We've done it. So, congratulations, you're through Albania, the Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, Poland, Norway, Estonia, Cyprus, Ukraine, and our pick, Iceland. Unfortunately, Sos Diva, we will be saying goodbye after the semi-first final. Semi-first?
The semi-first?
Yeah, the semi-first. The first semi-final in that's Eurovision Bejba first.
Exclusive.
We will be saying goodbye on the night to Azerbaijan.
Yep.
Croatia.
Yep.
Slovenia. Portugal. And our hot take, San Marino's not going to cut it.
Yep. You heard it here first, guys. Exclusive. When San Marino doesn't qualify, remember, we predicted it.
Exactly. I'm comfortable with that. I'm confident
I'm happy with that. I actually feel better with that than if we had just listened to the bookies and swapped Iceland and San Marino.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something in this that I'm like, I see all that.
Yeah. And look, we see it for ourselves. We see it based on what we've seen so far from the national final performances, but we would love to hear what you guys think.
And look, we've done a lot of research. We've analyzed these songs in 6 different ways.
Woo!
And so we know them pretty intimately.
You're
and
probably absolutely sick to death of hearing us analyze these songs.
And I'll keep doing it.
Exactly, but that's why you subscribe.
Yeah, so let us know if you agree with us. Let us know if you don't. I'd love to hear what... I'd love to see some of the fans for the non-qualifying countries say, this is why I think it will.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, why you think it will isn't just you like the song.
Yeah.
Separate that and go... Why based on like how we fought for Iceland?
Exactly, like based on history, based on like actual like popular product on the stage. Like tell us exactly what you're thinking. Would love to hear your qualifiers and your non-qualifiers. But for now,
that's it. Join us, of course, for our semi-final 2 predictions. We'll be going through the exact same strenuous process.
And I have a feeling that we'll have a much harder task
semi-final
ahead
2
of
is
us.
going to be...
Semi-final 2 is going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
Like, going into this one, we knew that it was probably going to be a little bit shorter.
I think we had about 9 that we were pretty confident.
And I think that, like, if nothing else, the bookies odds have, like, got us pretty confident. Semi-final 2 is going to be harder.
Bloodbath.
But the only way to stay tuned and find out more information about that is if you subscribe, give us a like, give us a comment, because the only way that we keep this this ship afloat is based on the vibes.
Is based on the love and support that you are giving us. And we need more.
Yeah, but validate us.
Validate us more.
Like, because we love this little community that we're building. We're so excited to hear from every single one of you every time in the comments, and we would love to hear more. So, that being said, Callum, any final thoughts for today?
No.
Well, I guess that'll do us then. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you for semi-final 2. Bye.
Bye.